pleasure and excitement to introduce our next speaker, which is PHYLLIS Liew. Hi, PHYLLIS. So PHYLLIS is a HR director from Blue Leaf Energy. She's an experienced HR director with a good history of working in logistics and supply chain industry. She's absolutely skilled in HR and of course in strategic HR planning as well, employee engagement. In fact, the whole list is very long because when I interacted with PHYLLIS, she has been handling tons of projects. What I remembered, our first interaction. So of course, she dabbles with succession planning and new hire orientation as well, something similar to what we know as onboarding. Now, PHYLLIS currently holds a Master's of Human Resource Management focused in, of course, HRM from Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey. Now, today, what she's going to do and share with us is, should CVs be customized for subsequent rounds? Which means to say, you know, should I use the same format CV from the first time I'm shortlisted to the next round? Maybe, you know, I'm going into round 2 now, and then maybe round 3, round 4. Should I just, you know, use the same thing, or should I pile on, or should I go a bit deeper? I'll leave PHYLLIS to share more with you. Okay, PHYLLIS, I'm going to stop share here and let PHYLLIS share with us her views, and do keep your questions coming as well. Yeah, keep your questions coming. PHYLLIS, are you ready?
Thanks, Eileen. I am especially impressed with this last slide that you mentioned, because I think if I were to look for a new job, I can refer to all those liners. Thanks a lot, Eileen, for sharing. Very insightful to me. Hi, everybody. I'm PHYLLIS, as what Eileen was mentioning. Let me just share my screen first. Okay, today I'm invited to this session because Eileen has finally contacted me after such a long missing. Yeah, I left Bolloré. That was the last time that we engaged Eileen for executive coach program. That's how we got in touch with Eileen, and prior to that, Bolloré Logistics was engaging Eileen for a few other leadership program. And she literally met a lot of the seniors in Bolloré back then. So I think she still continues to engage the HR and senior people in their current training sessions. I'm glad that this is continuing. But nonetheless, I have left the logistics industry, and I took a career break, maybe just to share a bit of my background. I took a career break for about less than a year. I was with my little girl. She's now already P5, and luckily during my career break, we spent quite a lot of times because she was into P1, going to P2. So the kind of stage was very delicate, but still a lot of fun having her with me towards that almost a year period. Then I finally hopped onto Blue Leaf Energy. Prior to Blue Leaf Energy, the name, if that sounds very green to you, yeah, it was for the name of Conergy. I'm not too sure whether you know such name. It has been in the market for probably 10 years before it changed the name to Blue Leaf Energy, because the name was also sort of like it's a license name, and it needs to expire, and we need to find a new name that coincides with the new mission and vision of the company. So it changed from Conergy, and we literally have the leadership team join in to brainstorm what needs to be renamed in our company. So we finally took the name Blue Leaf Energy, and we even do what we call license in such a way that none other people use this name. So if you find Blue Leaf, there's a lot of other Blue Leaf, but Blue Leaf Energy, there's only one company. So we rebrand the name to Blue Leaf Energy, and headquartered in Singapore after being acquired 100% by Macquarie, which is an investment banking group, pretty renowned investment banking group that is based in Australia. They do have a lot of other Macquarie companies in the region, but what they are doing with us is they use Blue Leaf Energy to be the platform for solar and onshore wind platform, where we will buy and sell companies. We could also have our engineering expertise to look at the tenders in the market that we could put in. And then, but of course, being headquartered in Singapore, a lot of the support functions are based in Singapore, like HR, finance, legal, and then the more operation people are based in the country. So currently we have about 70-ish, not a big company like what I was with Logistic. So I downsized my career, move from a 3,000 odd company to currently about 70 odd. But the company is really growing. And it's because there's also really a lot of potential to be in the renewable sector, where I really hope to see my child growing into a world where they are still having a sustainable place for the children to live in. I have joined Blue Leaf since February 2019, so barely going into my 4th year this year. Still growing big because I think a lot of my staff in the company, they've been in the industry for very long. Even the CFO, they have been in the previous job as renewable. So I'm still learning in the company. But then because of the transferable knowledge that I was with in HR, so I'm able to sort of like bring in business partnering, literally turn on the whole HR process change into the company. I don't have that many HR staff, by the way. I only have 2 + 1, one being the recruiter who is helping me because we are growing in the market and bringing in people. So I'll share my LinkedIn profile if you have any interest to work in the industry. I'm working very closely with a lot of my company's business leaders, literally in the country investment director, the CEO, the CFO, legal heads. So they are my greatest supporter in HR. And I really believe in engaging our people. So every month we have leadership meeting, we call it all hands meeting instead of all employees meeting. So on a monthly basis, we do an engaging session with each of the department head in order to know what are the staff issues and etc. So it's really a lot of engagement going on. But also once we do that, we are able to know what is going on in the industry. And then when we talk to candidates especially, it's also to know that how they are connected with the company in that sense, because especially people in the same industry. Okay, going to talent acquisition area, I would say I think everybody knows how you can find your best job in the market. I also learned that My Career Future is literally a free media that we can post position, in addition to also what we call, you know, when you want to get in foreign talent, you do need to post your job in My Career Future before you are able to apply the EP. So, but then it also acts as a platform where we could do job posting freely. So if you're in the HR platform, I think you know about this. A lot of social media posting that we did recently as well, LinkedIn, JobStreet, you name it, you have it. Some of course cost more, some of course lesser. We also have a lot of, in our industry, we do a lot of word of mouth. We do a lot of referrals. The investment director, especially, they know a lot of people in industry. So like, for example, in my Blue Leaf Energy in India, we have not spent a single cent in doing posting. They have a lot of network. So we find people through their network, and we just managed to find what we call the VP for investment and strategy. So which is good, yeah. Career sites posting, recruitment partners, I think everybody charge differently. So we also try to squeeze down on the rates. Internal referral, which is through our internal staff, meaning they tell us who they know in the market. Yeah, so this is how we find people in the market. I think a lot of us know. What I usually look at is we don't really require people to send us any cover letter anymore. Literally, when I see an application, I zoom into their career history. I think like what Eileen was saying, it's very important for you to really list down your career achievement. I think that would read most part of your job before we literally read in line by line about what you write in your CV. So I really appreciate people who do a lot or who really do a summary about their career history. Well, normally when the person has zero experience, I literally will pack them into the junk mail. But now I learned from Eileen's last slide is that, hey, they really put an effort. They want to go into the different, even in the different industry or different position. If they could list down some of them, I think I will now take a look what they have done. Thank you, Eileen, for pointing out. We shouldn't be straight away saying no, and put that into the junk folder. Thanks, Eileen. I learned something today.
Wow. Everybody must thank Phyllis. Oh.
Yeah. So that's very useful to me as a so-called in my recruitment experience. And then what do I see from resume? Something stand out that I have observed so far, I was mentioning to you, if you could highlight in a short paragraph about your career experience, significantly, of course, not, I mean, nothing that is very too minute, to show that what is it relevant to the position that you applied for. I think I will really appreciate it. Nowadays, I think due to the millennium, then followed by the new Z generation, I have so-called managed my expectation. I do not see that the person has to stay for 4, 5 years, 10 years kind of career history. I would rather look at what they have done in each of their career and how they really stand out in terms of what they've done in the particular period that they have done in the particular employer. So I think it's more of like the aspiration that I'm looking for. But of course, when you really finally select the person, then you zoom in to ask specifically the question. I don't really appreciate that the whole page is lumpy words. That makes the CV very difficult to read, even though they have very relevant experience. I tend to really shut down when I see the whole page full of wordings. Yeah, so do put them into point forms, and I really appreciate that. Good to use icon, but not necessary. Sometimes I think the new generation, they tend to put little fun icon, which is very nice. And but those are things that catch some attention, but I still do read even with each icon, what do they do in the first place. Put your recent picture if you need to put a recent picture. That is very, very recent. Don't put somebody that's 5, 10 years down the road, because when I interview the person, I tend to see if I am interviewing the correct person, because if their picture don't show that he is the correct person, then I would question why. Yeah, so this is, yeah, so sometimes when I interview the person, then if there's a picture in the first place, I tend to see, why this person changed quite a fair bit. So do put very, very recent photo to identify yourself as a candidate. I'll stop here for a while if you have any questions that you want to pose. But
there is one though.
Okay.
There is one question that was posted to you. Question to Phyllis by Chenki. Does the percentage of competency match? You know, in my careers future, when they apply, anyone who applies for a job, the system automatically shows you some percentage of match. Yeah. And then it says that, is it the same? Will it indicate if the recruiter will read your resume? Does the percentage of competency match indicate whether recruiter will read?
Okay. There are job sites that we could put the percentage match, but however, when there is percentage match for us, I mean, as a current company, we still read. So it's not necessary that if you only match like 50% or 40%, then we are putting them into the junk mail. Not at all. So as long as there's some matching, we do read to be fair, because I think we shouldn't miss out anybody who has some relevance experience, and we don't really yeah, put them away.
Yeah,
So
I remember I asked you that question, right? When we first engaged, when we chatted, I was asking you whether your company actually uses AI, because AI tends to like.
Yeah. But the job sites does have the
I know.
yeah, correct. But we don't. I don't have any ATS also. The system that track the applicant. I mean, whether thankfully or not thankfully, but at least we try to read every resume. So if the resume one wants to read through, if the person does IT, but then the position is talking about something else, then we try not to match them lah. But then I mean, yeah, but if they are changing role, but there is some experience that they mentioned that why they want to change from IT to something else, I think we do now. I think we should try our best to read them as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's the
Yeah,
humans
thank you,
that are
thank
reading.
you. I get your advice. You have another question, I remember.
Yes, because you mentioned about matching the face to the name. Can he ask, is it necessary to put a picture?
No, not necessary. It's actually up to the candidates. In fact, I think in our current job posting, we don't put the we don't ask for pictures at all. But I mean, some candidates just would like to put the name, put the face of the name. I guess they out of sincerity, they put the picture. But if you do want to put the picture, please use a recent one. That's why.
Use a recent one. And also the other criteria, I'll just chime in to say that it's got to be relevant. You know, got to be relevant, you know, so it must be appropriate to the role. I mean, because the purpose of the picture is I can visualize you doing the role. Wow. You know, so
okay, there is a comment by Chen Mei I read that the WSG culture does not recommend photo on CV. So yeah, okay, understand.
There are many different recommendations.
Understand. Okay. Yeah, so in our job posting, we don't ask to put photo in the first place, but then some candidates just want to share, I guess. There's another question that I read. How much time do I spend reading resume? Oh, okay. My ex-boss will always tell me that yeah, you can read in 1 minute, like at least 6 to 10 CVs, but I don't have this capability. I tend to still read them, but then if the resume does not fit at all, I just leave it aside. If there's some relevancy, I still read them. But then ask me how much time I spend. Can't really judge. I'll just glance through, I guess. And then because I need to send the CVs, selected CVs to the hiring manager, I do have to highlight what I have read in a short paragraph, so that the hiring manager would know that how relevant is the application in the first place. They choose what to read full or not is up to them. But at least I do my due diligence to highlight. Yeah.
And also just to say that, you know, the question about the picture and all that, you got to check the context, because some companies use AI, which they check more for words rather than for your visual, and it depends. I think the question is, what's the algorithm that's programmed into the AI? You don't know what you don't know. Okay. So the context, to me, I stress a lot on context, which is why I show you the 6 different ways. Don't get confused. You can't take any advice carte blanche, you know, which means wholesale. It's like, okay, don't do this, but in your context, is it relevant? Oops.
There's one interesting question here, Eileen. What is the appropriate size of a resume? Some people will think, oh, I squeeze everything in one page lah, because
small font.
Then well, like that, I means I would have definitely not read. But then depending on how senior is the position, but I would appreciate if that could be summarized into 2, if not more than 3 pages.
Wow,
if the person has got many jobs that they have done before. But yeah, of course, you do still have to leave some lines in between to break down your experience. But don't clutter everything into 1 page. Yeah. Font size, wow. Yeah, it's really up to you actually for font size. I can't really comment on that. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Before I move on to the next section, I would like to invite Eileen to do a little poll. Yeah, to help me to find out this question about, there are two questions, then one is now. The first question, I think I let Eileen do the poll and then we discuss about it.
I've just launched the poll and the first question is about your preference. So the question is, amidst the pandemic situation, which interview format would be useful to you, right? And you have to choose only one, right? Do you prefer a face-to-face and then virtual interview, or both, or unsure? I always like to have the last one, unsure. Don't know. I can't decide now. I don't know, right? So you've got, we've got 240 over people here in this seminar. So right now we've only passed a little, coming close to 60%. Coming close to, 60% of you have responded. Look, you have to choose one, right? If you have no choice, right? No choice but to make a choice. That's what I meant. No choice but to make a choice. You have to make a choice, okay? So, so face-to-face, virtual interview, or both, all right? Both meaning to say you don't mind either or. Either or, all right? You don't mind either or. It's not you have both. So either or, yeah, actually. Maybe I should have rephrased that. My bad. Okay, so, 76% already. That's quite many people. Should I stop the poll, Phyllis?
Okay, it's okay. I think more than half already.
Very interesting, right? Because I think everyone wants to know the result as well. Thanks everybody for participating. I'm going to share the results. So Phyllis?
There's a tough fight between virtual and both, or rather either one. I think amidst of this pandemic, I think the last probably 2 years, a lot of our interviews are carried on a virtual basis. We also do a lot of interviews for my company. I'm hiring into the country. So again, virtual interviews is very, very important. But then even though it is in Singapore, we have, I don't know about your companies, but I hear a lot of people saying that the employees would go through all virtual interviews until they're accepted into the job. So a lot of them have not even gone through face-to-face. The first day during their induction is also virtual. So the only non-virtual, including the only non-virtual is probably the HR or the IT would have to deliver the IT equipment to the new employees' home before they start work. We do that now also in my current company. Yeah, there are also some occasions, very, very few, that the hiring manager would want to meet them for the last time before being offered the position, either in a cafe or in the office setup. So, but a lot of times, at least for my company, it's very, very virtual nowadays. Yeah, so I'm glad that there is still some face-to-face, because I think the personal interaction is very important. Sometimes even virtual, you cannot see so clearly. There's makeup. There is, yeah, you can't really see how is it like. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, so I have stopped that one. Do we want to do the next one, or?
I'll just finish off before we do the last polling. Thank you so much. Okay. A lot of times candidates do proceed to the next interview. So do we propose the candidate to revise their CV? Not really, but then we do want them to prepare a different way of presenting themselves when they move on to the subsequent interviews. So at least for my company or my previous company, when we move them to the next interview stage, we tell them our expectation, whether it is a panel, whether they have to prepare any case study, any PPT, trying to sell yourself more in coming into the job. So if there is a case study, typically in my current company, we do want them to prepare, we give them the case, be it a project modeling or cost modeling, they will have to prepare and come back with their solutions. So if you're given a case study in advance, of course, we want them, the candidate should prepare the presentation in order to make them presentable. sometimes there may not be right or wrong answer, but what we are looking at is the analytical thought process that they are going through. So even though the answers is wrong eventually, but I mean, at least we see that they really thought through the process, and what they have brought in is the applicable skills in the first place. The second interview, I would expect the candidate to ask more about the company, be it current or future business direction, because I think we want to see that the candidates are really interested in the company's business and they're there to stay and grow with the company. I think that's what we're looking for. If you're not asked to prepare your compensation details, please do not do so. Until the stage where we require, we will ask from the candidate. Typically, usually the HR is the person who asks this stuff. For me, if I join into the subsequent interviews as a HR professional, I'm looking more about motivational fit, no longer job fitness to the company. How the different value system and belief system would align with the candidate. I think that is something that we are looking for as a HR professional. In a panel interviews, if you are given a chance to present it to a panel, there could be higher stakeholders in the panel. Please ask your question sincerely. It doesn't mean that when there are higher stakeholders, you just fire your questions, but more about your sincerity. You could ask constructive questions, but do it in a more sincere manner rather than show that you're fearless because you can handle stakeholders sincerely. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking for also. Very importantly, in your next stage, quote examples when you're being asked, because past experience would I think most of you would learn past experience would determine future performance. And I still believe in that even though they may not be relevant, but then if you're quoting examples that are showing, let's say, your problem solving skills, even though for newbies, for example, if they have not really gone into a project management, but then maybe they have done it in their school, in their internship, do quote those examples, because we really count on those examples to really see that you could handle such situation in the first place. Yeah, I think that's what being a HR person that I will be looking for in the next interview stage. Do not literally have to change your CV, but more of adapting how you want to present yourself in the next subsequent interviews.
That's so important. And what you have also mentioned, I love what you just mentioned, and that is even when you get the answers wrong, right? It's the thought process that you're interested to hear, your reasoning, right? Your approach to reasoning as well. How do you actually take on, different views? How do you actually make sense of information? That's so good.
Thank you. Do we have questions before?
Oh, there's a lot of questions.
Oh, okay.
I think the big question is about the cover letter. Is cover letter still needed? I know there are many views around this. I also have a view, but more important is your view.
Like what I mentioned earlier in my very first or second slide, I don't read cover letter, to be frank. I zoom into straight away the CV. Cover letter, I know a lot of candidates do still put in, because I think they really customize the cover letter to say that I'm applying for this job to this company. Yeah, so yeah, I don't really read the cover letter anymore. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. And I think there was also another question in what's the difference between what HR is looking for versus what senior management is looking for?
I think I was sharing just now, I'm looking more for motivational fit, not so much on job fit. My senior management is looking more on, I don't think they don't ask specifically how they do their job anymore, but the senior stakeholders are looking more about on a macro view, what they have, what they are hoping the person to do, but not so much on detail what you have done before, not at all, because that would have passed through during the first stage. Yeah, correct.
So less operational, more strategic. And maybe
what do they bring into the table if you are a senior person? Okay, want to see what kind of key things that you could bring on the table, especially if you're not from the same industry.
Okay, this is an administrative question, but I'll just read it anyway. For Phyllis, do you read the soft copy of CVs or do you print out to read?
Oh, don't print. No more.
Will Google Docs suffice, or do you prefer PDF?
I'm fine, either both, but definitely we will not print out. And then for those selected candidates, I will leave it as what they are. And then even I send to the hiring manager, I'll leave it as the version. I don't even PDF it in the first place.
Right. Okay. The most voted question is, for awards, compliments, promotions, are you suggesting that we should consolidate and list them under one section, even if they are achieved at different junctures and companies? My short answer, Oh, thank you.
We are aligned.
Let's go buy lottery. No, just kidding. Okay.
One section would be good. Yes. I do have one last poll that I would like to get some opinion.
Yes,
I think could show. Okay, I think there's only one very big answer, which is the mix of working from home as well as work in office. So thank you for the arrangement. In fact, I think at least for my current company, we are still giving the choice of people to work at home while voluntary go back to office, because now I think for Singapore it's been open to 50%. So so instead of forcing people to go back on a 50% basis, we are still giving our company employees a choice. Even though at this moment we don't see a lot of people coming to the office yet. I think they are so used to working at home in the first place. The odd one out is hot desk. I think I understand a lot of companies are shrinking down in terms of the office. They like I think especially in Tanjung Pagar where I work with, a lot of companies are shrinking their office size, hoping to get, of course, firstly cut down on rental. Secondly, if people want to come in, they just registered. So so I think hot desk is still an upcoming trend, I guess. Yeah, correct. Okay, thank you so much. We take this, at least we are not the odd one out to have a mix of work from home and work in office.
This is good. I think if you belong to the category where you only need to work at the office and you are a bit more flexible, so check out what the HR is struggling with, because all HR, in fact, all job function, we all have our own struggles. If you manage to get close to understanding their struggles and you have the solution, you are the solution. Yay. Okay.
Okay, without further delay, I think if you have not heard about us, you could, it's still a very raw website, by the way, so keep that in mind, that our Marcom manager who just joined us are still revamping the website, including the LinkedIn website as well, and feel free to connect with me in LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, so nice. If you're interested to have a copy of what Phyllis just shared, just type link.artofcareer.com/Phyllis's name. So Phyllis Liew. All right. So type her name, and then you should be able to see, the key pointers that she has shared. All right.